Hell yeah.
Lovely.
Intro's getting so hot. What's up, Guitar Bro?
What's up, Guitar Bro? He's a broshi!
What you sipping on tonight?
Coming in hot, sipping on Willet Rye Reserve.
A straight Alka-Seltzer.
Mmm.
Nice.
Yes.
No, that Willow Rye.
Good for what ails you.
Is the shit. Everything ails me.
It is. It's very tasty. It's lovely.
Time. Freaking wild turkey. Just fucking wild turkey.
Yes.
Hell yeah. That's smoking a hookah.
Yes.
I'm ripping the big boy.
Did a hookah last night. I decided not to this night, but
That's probably good.
yeah.
Got your text. Well, we probably shouldn't open up with us talking about texting each other off the.
You have a vape?
Oh, vaping hard, bro.
Mm.
Ah. Okay. So, first, how was your week, Josh? How's your week been?
You know, not that
How
bad.
was last week? How was
you
your
know?
Labor Day? Did you have an enjoyable Labor Day?
Yeah, I did actually. I didn't do a whole lot over the weekend. I did finish up doing lead parts on the EP that the longest running EP in history. Yes,
Chinese
thank
Democracy?
you. It's Chinese Democracy. Yeah, a la Dracon. Yes. But it's done. It's actually so
Like the
we're already
record's
started
done?
besides an acoustic piece.
Shit,
all of
that's
the electric parts are done though. Finished up
Vocals?
doing all of the. Oh yeah, vocals were done
sick.
months ago.
Damn, okay, sick.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So it's that was good. Felt
That's
good.
awesome.
Played some stuff that was difficult for me to play when I was playing it all the time, and so nearly impossible for me to play when I haven't been playing it all the time. But I made it through. So woo.
Nice, dude. That's sick.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
Fix
yeah.
it in post. It's Pro Tools.
That's why I told Stan fix it in post. Fuck you.
Post.
Fuck
Like,
me.
it. You get one take.
Fix it in post,
You get
dude.
one take. Fucking
Yeah,
fix it.
right. Like I'm gonna
Bitch.
I'm gonna play a random string of notes, and I just expect you to make it work. That
I
is
feel
the
like-
expectation.
I feel like he's masochistic enough to like be
Yes.
like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll do it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, absolutely hates it when I say that. I say it all the time. I just fix it in post. You know, whatever.
Post.
Play it again. I'll fucking fix it in post.
Fuck it, you can fix it.
Yeah.
Timeline,
I'm gonna
everything.
play it again. You play it again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
fuck
play
you.
anything. The
Get up the
beauty
guitar and walk
of
off.
of modern recording,
Dude,
exactly.
seriously though.
Well, you know, honestly, like, yeah.
Dude, I got
so-
myself a nice good case of sun poisoning this weekend. I'm pretty sure. So like,
Oh, dude,
it
you
was,
did. You hit that Labor Day hard.
It was.
You hit that Labor Day weekend
We
hard.
took my
bro.
mother out on a pontoon boat for her
Whoa.
birthday celebration. My sister and I rented a pontoon boat. We just bopped around
Nice.
Geist, the reservoir here, on a pontoon boat, drinking and just fucking. But you know, just barely moving at all through the canal a couple times, but just sat in the sun and got fucking fried. The boat had a shade. I didn't sit under it because I'm an asshole. I was wearing, when the morning started, I was wearing swim trunks. I wasn't gonna hop in. 'Cause it's fucking Geist, but I was wearing swim trunks, a long
Right.
sleeve, and a tank. And
Uh-huh.
by the end of the day, I was in the tank and
Right.
and the trunks. But you know,
I was
Uh,
gonna say you lost the trunks.
well, listen. But dude, so when I wear swim trunks, my swim trunks are European cut nearly. Like they're five
Lord.
inch inseams. So all my swim
Oh.
trunks are short as fuck. Like we're talking like
Yes.
one ball hanging out one side, almost. And thank God for the mesh lining. But
So freeing.
so, dude, like, I've got a red. There's a pure
Oh.
white on my thigh, and then a like candy cane stripe where it starts, and it just. So, dude, I was wrecked all weekend.
Bro.
Even Monday, I had like my vision was blurry. I had a headache all day. Like it was
My
intense.
God.
Like I did not recover.
Wow.
I went out and cut the grass and felt like I had lifted like 30 pounds or 30 tons of
Right.
metal.
Right.
And I had just cut my
Yeah.
grass for 45 minutes, came in and needed to like die. Yeah, dude, I fucked myself up hard.
Brutal. That's rough, man.
Yeah, but I mean, we bounce back. When you party hard, you
back at it.
Back. Yeah, back.
You
back
do.
When
it's time to party, we always party hard. That's the key. So what are we talking about? What's gonna be? No, it doesn't. No,
I was gonna say when the crank machine comes partying through.
What are you gonna do, brother? Exactly.
Yeah. Well, topic. Where's my timer? Oh, we're 6 minutes in. It's fine.
Know.
Everyone's not
watching. Oh, dude, that's all right. No, wait, listen.
Our topic is your next guitar to be a Macintosh, and that's my thesis. This is my change my mind.
We're not getting paid for this, folks.
Yeah, again, so fuck them. But it should be a Mac. It shouldn't be a PC, and I'm gonna get into that, into the why, here. But where this all comes from is pretty early in your guitar journey. You get the poison in your brain, and you just keep buying more and more guitars, and that's awesome. Like we like buying guitars. We have. I don't count anymore, but it's 20-ish. I don't know, between 15 to 25. I don't. What are numbers?
Whatever.
But even if I only had a guitar, and even if it wasn't a great guitar, especially if I was starting out, I would still say the journey should go guitar. Next thing, amp. Theoretically, an amp you can play in front of people with. I think it's really important. I mean, I'm counting. If you bought a guitar or an electric guitar, that you also have like your practice amp, and then fuck the practice amp. Right. So buy a guitar, buy an amp that is gig volumeable, preferably like a tube amp. Even if it's a cheap tube amp, like a Bugera or something, like get something where as quick as you can, as soon as you get the offer, you can go out and play in front of people and start harnessing what that skill is, because that's different than just sitting by yourself and playing. But the third thing you should buy before you buy fucking guitar pedals, your second guitar because you think your Squier is shit, or whatever, I'm going to say it should be a Mac, with the caveat a Mac and an audio interface is basically where I'm going. You should take the money you would spend on your fucking, you're playing a Squier Affinity now, and you're fucking fucking hard that Epiphone Les Paul or that SG or that LTD that's like $1,000. And like you're saving up, you're like, this is my guitar. It's everything I want. Now fuck that shit. You're not ready yet. Buy a computer. Right. And here's why. Your current computer sucks. I'm assuming. If you have a Macintosh already, you skip this step, but you can still take some of the things. Skip the buying step, but then listen up to the.
Still need an audio interface.
Yeah, you still need an audio interface. And I mean, and let's real quick, just so people fucking know what we're talking about on interface, because maybe they're new. I'm just gonna pull up a very entry level Scarlett Johansson.
Perfect.
If you can buy her for 119.
Wait, listen. Let's be real, folks. Or even something close.
Everything I said. You go do you.
Buy Scarlett Johansson for $100, and then go get a BC Rich Warlock and call it a day.
Yeah, dude, because your life is the most awesome of any life ever.
No, this is a great interface. This is fantastic.
So I bought it's upstairs. I actually have one of these just to move around. For when I want to record on the go. It's got a guitar in, it's got a mic in. You're not going to be recording real live drums at this stage if you're talking about what we're talking about and you're getting into it. If you are recording real live drums, you already know what you need probably. So we're not going to talk about that. But this is for the people who they're into guitar, maybe you're even really good at guitar, but you're like, what's my next step? Well, next step one is playing live, getting in front of people and doing that and enjoying that, because that's when that joy of guitar is going to go from something you do at home to something like, oh shit, I can share this with people and make them happy with what I can do, and that's cool.
Right.
Or if you're Josh, you can make them like really, really depressed when they hear your music. But whatever.
The battery works off both sides.
It really does.
You gotta have that negative along with the positive. Some of it's more negative for us.
Me too.
Some ends, but it's just sad bastard music.
Sad bastard all the time. So you've got that, and then to help your creative journey as a songwriter, this is when the Mac and an audio interface and recording in general comes in, and you don't need to want to learn how to record a full band.
Right.
You probably will if you start to love it, but like the goal is for you to be able to have a musical idea in your head and to put it down so you can share it with other people. And for me, this was the reason I started recording. Wasn't to record things for other people to hear. It was to record songs that my bands were working on so we could hear them and we could make them better and pass them amongst band members, and everybody would tweak on their audio programs, and then you'd come together, write what we called a pre-production demo, where you basically, before you went to the real studio, quote unquote, you would record it yourself, do everything like you're going to do. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is standard process, by the way.
This is how you do this.
If you go to record in a studio, not only are you going to want to have that pre-production stuff recorded, but most engineers, if you get in, like if you're gonna pay money to get in with a recording studio and a really good engineer, they're going to ask for your pre-production tracks.
Because they want to hear if you're ready for you to fucking work with them. Basically.
Exactly.
So they're checking to make sure your band is ready. Because what they know is, especially if you're not paying at the like record label thing, where the record label's saying, okay, we're paying for an album, no matter how long it takes, you get this big chunk of money. If you're a smaller band, you're paying maybe per song or often per hour. So if you don't want to spend 10 grand on a recording that sounds like a $2,000 recording or a $3,000 recording, you need to be able to come in, hit go, and every instrumentalist needs to play their parts as best as they can.
Absolutely.
As effectively as they can. And pre-production helps make sure everyone is in that mindset, so everyone isn't writing in the studio. Because generally, if you're the type of band that we've been in, even as much success as we've had, you don't get time to write in the studio when you're paying for studio time. Those days for normal weekend warrior musicians, or even if you're like a B-level opening act for a musician, those days are gone. You don't get a month to do a record anymore and just get to find yourself, unless you're really willing to put up the type of cash that probably not worth the product in the end.
Right.
So,
but you can. The thing is, you can do that. You can find yourself getting in early with like getting a computer and getting an interface and going through that process.
Yeah.
And like the engineers will help you a bit when you get in there, and they might even help you to produce some parts.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And the point is, the demo doesn't have to sound good. The pre-production, the pre-part is that no one's going to hear this. The songs are going to be done at a different place, a different studio. This is just for you and your group to make sure you're ready and that you love the songs that much, and really go in and nitpick parts, nitpick this and that. So having the technicality at your fingertips allows you to start training yourself on how on the click are you. You know what I mean? And you're going to catch errors that in the studio might fuck your whole song. You're going to catch them up first. But even before all that, let's say you're not in a band and shit, but you know G, C, and D, and you've got a decent voice, you can start writing songs. The barrier just evaporates, because and here's the reason why you buy a Mac. It's twofold. One is the classic Macintosh user interface. When you buy any Mac product, there is a program called GarageBand in it, and it is a fully functional, many tracks. I mean, I can't remember if it's 120 more tracks you're gonna fucking need. Recording studio. You don't have to pay anything else. You need the hardware from a different company to plug in the computer so you can plug your guitar in and have it be a good signal, and then you don't have to buy anything.
Right.
Later on, we're going to talk about upgrading that thing called a DAW, or digital audio workstation, what most people just call a recording program now, or a DAW. Right. We'll talk about going past GarageBand. I think that's another reason to get Mac, but we'll get to that later. But GarageBand in itself is what I use specifically for about a decade before I upgraded. I think, Josh, you're about the same way, right? You GarageBand.
I didn't use it for quite as long. I bumbled around with a few different softwares like Cakewalk, Sonar.
When I only had like a really crappy PC, I had Audacity in it.
Yeah.
Like that was my first, and I went from that to a Mac. And the other thing that reason GarageBand is so cool is there's hundreds of built-in software instruments. So if you need a drum track, you can either drag and drop a loop that's just in the program where you can literally just boop, boop, and now you have a drummer to play a 4/4 beat to or whatever. Or you can go in with your literal keyboard, like your keyboard, and pound out the drums like kick, snare, do hats. Same thing with piano sounds, synth sounds, your bass guitar sound. Like, you can be the rest of the band, and you don't have to know how to play those instruments. You basically just have to kind of understand how a piano is laid out, like a literal like keyboard is laid out, so you know you're playing the right notes. And all those sounds and everything is in there for you. So basically, you can become a one-man band and make songs that are basically, besides your guitar and your voice, which are being captured by that interface and sent into your computer, everything else can be software generated in a computer and sound really, really decent. You'd be surprised how many records don't have real violins on them if you're new at this, or real pianos. It's a digital reproduction of a piano through sound samples and stuff. We're not going to get into that stuff on this, but so that's my number one is for the creating and what it opens up to you as a musician. It is the most accessible, taking away price. It's the most accessible entry to learning how to record, because GarageBand is in my opinion, the easiest thing to learn how to click the buttons on to get your guitar on the screen. I think it's the easiest. It is. I think everything else is a little bit of a dick punching curve.
It is. Yeah, and I mean, even Pro Tools offers a free version of their software now, but there's a huge learning curve there, and it's nowhere near as intuitive as GarageBand. And I'll say, there is a bit of
on Pro Tools, not nearly as full-fledged.
They don't come with. It doesn't come with as much, for sure.
Sometimes it comes maybe with like native instruments, like a sample of native instruments. I think it's still packaged. But yeah. I mean, so if you want everything in the box, if you just go buy, now Cubase does come with a lot of built-in sounds and software.
That's a popular one too.
Yeah, Cubase is another one. If you're like, I don't have the money to buy I can afford an interface and I can't buy a Mac, Cubase is your best option.
That's what I was gonna say. You don't. There is that thing to where, like, you might look at Macs, like a new Mac, and you might say, well, that's just too expensive. You don't. The great thing is you don't have to buy a new one.
No.
You could literally.
You don't need the biggest.
You don't need to buy. No. Especially just starting out. You could buy a $300 or $400 Mac used. It will have GarageBand on it, and it will most likely have enough RAM and whatever else you need to, and that's upgradable on most of them up until a certain point. But
up until the M1 Max of this year, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which
I was going to add one point
to the M1 stuff, but yeah. Go ahead.
Right.
You're going to add.
I think I'm shortly behind there. I'm gonna do the same thing.
When you do.
But I was gonna.
Go ahead. And
change the game. You're gonna change the game,
but buy the cheapest ones. So the ones I've bought, this one is the cheapest M1 MacBook Air you can get, which was $850, and my desktop over here that you guys can't see, where I actually record on. We'll get into that a little bit more. But my other one is the newest Mac Mini, which I think was $650 for the Mac Mini. And you can hook it up to whatever monitor. It doesn't come with a monitor or keyboard or any of that shit. It's just a fucking computer tower. But for that type of price, the power in
that's amazing.
For this new shit, even at like the $600 level or $700 level, these new M1 chips for audio recording. Now, if you want a video shit, we're not talking about that. We're talking strictly about email, web browsing. You know, maybe if you want to stream something like this, be great. And audio recording, it eats it for lunch. I'm sure if I was doing high-end video processing, you'd be looking somewhere else. But then at that point, you're probably not needing to hear me talk about, you know, how you shouldn't buy your first $1,000 guitar and you need to buy a Mac instead. At that point in time, if you're already into high-end video editing, you're doing it on a big machine, I think. But you had a point you wanted to loop around to.
Oh, yeah. When I was like 16, one of my guitar teachers, he encouraged me to record myself practicing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, there were no smartphones. There wasn't.
We're old as fuck.
We are, right? But like I'm saying, like that's another thing. Like, of course, for the songwriting, it's key and it's a great tool. But honestly, just recording yourself practicing, even practicing other people's songs, is huge because you can literally hear what you need to fix. And that's something I wish I would have done way earlier on, and I ended up doing later on when I was able to afford like a desktop recording studio, basically one of those little 16-track or 8-track. I think I had an 8-track one.
Oh, Boss
but
all-in-one little units. Yeah.
Terrible little things.
The units were good. The screens were what made them suck. I mean, dude.
Well, that's what it was. It was the user interface.
It was like literally that size of what you're seeing.
Couple inches.
Like it was.
Yeah.
It was like fucking trying to record 8 tracks on a Tamagotchi. You guys don't understand that reference,
right?
Fuck.
Yeah.
On a Game Boy.
That's a great reference.
You know what a Game Boy looks like?
It
was like that screen.
Nope, they don't know about that either.
God damn it.
Anyway, but I was gonna say just for practicing too. It's an invaluable tool. But yes. go ahead.
Yeah, no. Yes. You're absolutely right. So I can jump on that. So my buddy, I think we're starting up a new band thing, and he at his place worked on a bunch of demos and kicked them out. I was like, dudes, I'd love to have these, practice ready. Like, so we're not coming in bumbling around and learning the songs when we're there. I'm going to kick all these demos that I've worked pretty hard on out to you, which were fully fledged. I mean, it was drums, keys, 2 or 3 guitars, going most of the song, bass lines, everything. Can you guys just learn these parts? And then when we were there in practice, we'll toss some of the parts. You guys can add your vibes in on them. But like, instead of starting at me walking around the room going G, A, B, C, like, let's just come in with this shit learned, and then we'll start fucking it up. Instead of y'all be like, hey dude, try new lead riffs, and then I'll doodle. But at first, while we're just catching the vibe of the song, I was playing the riffs that he wrote. And the great thing about that is, a lot of times when you're jamming in a group, you need that gel to happen before the real creativity can start to take off. So having that there, so what I did is I took those 4 tracks he sent, those 4 MP3s, downloaded them to my computer, booted all 4 of them up in my audio interface, just on separate lines, muted all but one, threw a guitar in, and played along to him in the interface. And when I got stuck on a part where I couldn't quite hear what one of the guitar lines that I wanted to copy was doing, I looped it. I set my little looping bar, and I just played that thing for fucking 15 minutes until I had like his bounce and his rhythm on the notes, and then I moved on. When you're doing that even if you're just sitting there jamming with like an iPhone next to you or whatever, you're gonna have to keep pulling that track back or whatever. It's annoying. It just simplified practicing. Kind of like what you're saying. And I could also record that take and hear, did I actually play it correctly?
Yeah.
Boom. So it was like both of those things for practice. And when we got to practice, it was a fun practice because everyone had taken the time in their own ways. But for me, that was a really effective time-saving way. Didn't have to keep booting up all the songs. I set it up on, like, he sent the songs over weekend 1. On Monday, I set up that file and I just named it practice. And so every night I came downstairs and just for 30 minutes ripped through the songs. Boom, 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 every night. So I didn't have to like cram it when the practice was happening on Friday or Saturday or whatever it happened. I just could do a little bit every time. There's a really easy thing like kick on my computer, plug in a guitar, go, because I even saved the guitar settings I was using. It was just like, brup, brup, brup. All right, now I'm done. Just be real. Practicing guitar every night for a band sounds rad, but sometimes you want to noodle and do your own thing or work on your own songs. And sometimes you might just be in the life point where, like, there are times I go through where I don't play guitar every day. Right now I'm playing a lot of guitar every day. But, like, there are definitely times where I'm not playing guitar every fucking day. And then it's advantageous because I can go and practice, get it done, know I'm ready, so I can live up to the bill and move on. So that's...
efficient.
The efficiency of it is killer. And, you know, it took 10 minutes to set up, maybe, dragging the tracks in, finding the tone, and then just rolling.
Yeah, and I want to say that the really awesome thing about GarageBand is that if you want to know how to do something, there's a YouTube video. Anything.
YouTube University,
seriously, I'm saying from literally starting it up first time, creating a session, adding an audio, adding a track, to setting up guitar tones, setting up keyboard tones, you name it, and it like you can find it all within minutes.
Yeah, and actually, guys, if you can't find something in GarageBand and you don't know how to do it, and I know we don't have a lot of people commenting on these yet because we're still a young channel, but leave a comment if there's something you want to do. I'll whip up my thing and I'll make you a video.
Hey, bro.
Well, you know, I gotta have something in it for me.
It's called OnlyFans, and it's a subscription service, and you pay, and then Dustin makes you private videos.
Yeah.
And
no, but seriously, so I used to when I played video games, and I have an old video from a former life in the streaming world where I did something in a video game that was really complicated on the server side. I had to set up a practice server, and when I was streaming, I kept mentioning it, and I had a lot of followers back then, and like I'd say like 20 of them were like, dude, how do you do this? How do you set this up? So I kicked out just like a YouTube vid and linked it, you know, when we were streaming the next time, and I think that has multiple thousands of views, which isn't tons, I know, but like for the time, it was something that needed to be said. So like this, if you guys are getting stuck on GarageBand, there's something you don't know how to do, put it in the comments. I will address it. We'll make you a video so you don't feel lost. Like, honestly, it'll take me 10 minutes to do the thing, and if it helps you out, that's great. And, you know, then you can suck our dicks or whatever, you know. Or hit that subscribe button.
Seriously, subscribe, like, do it, comment, helps with that algo.
Yeah, we're here for the theoretical community that doesn't yet exist. But seriously,
we are.
If you are here and you're watching, or if you have questions about this shit, or you don't know if we're going too fast, you don't know what the fuck we're talking about, type it out, man. Let us know when we should slow down, when we should speed up, when we're beating a dead horse, and you know, or if there's tech issues, let us know. We might be able to help. We've gone through the fucking ringer. And no, the first time you fucking plug that interface into your laptop, no matter what system you're using, you're gonna have your buddies around and you think you're about to record your fucking demo so you can get famous on TikTok. Nah, we've all done it. I know Josh has done it. I fucking did it. All my buddies, all my bandmates sitting around with their guitars in their hands, and you think it's a plug-and-play thing. There's a learning curve to this shit. Even GarageBand is small, but it's still a fucking learning curve. It's going to take you about an hour or two just to fucking figure out how to get tracks in, and you're going to have to... Back then when I was doing it, YouTube didn't exist, so now it's going to be quicker.
Right.
But, like, it's still going to be a little bit of thing where you're not going to know, and sound might be clipping, you're not going to know what that means, and you're just going to have to learn. So it's nice to be able to put that time in before you have some people over to make records with you. But just a heads up. Probably not going to go as fast as you think. But once you get it, it's like riding a bike.
Yeah. It'll be a dick punch at first, but after you do get it, it'll be cake.
Most things are that are worth learning. There is always something hard about them, and that's why people can't. That's why people don't and can't. They quit too early because it's hard. And I'm telling you, if you push through that little bit, you can do some really cool stuff. Sorry, I need some water during that.
Really amazing. Honestly, like stuff you can do with just GarageBand is really amazing.
So thing two, also band oriented, and this is why I think if you don't have a Mac, a laptop, if you don't have your own personal computer, and I guess this world that would be very normal in the world I grew up in when I was a teenager, and that world is probably further from the truth than I think. But for whatever reason, if you don't, the laptop I prefer desktop computers. You generally get more power for your money in them. I think the Mac series actually an exception to the rule, because this is just as powerful as that Mac Mini I bought. It's like literally the same guts. But so story number 2 about why you should get a Mac is I was jamming at my buddy's shop, and they have this badass in-ear mixer that has 32 tracks in, like 16 out. Like, this thing's insane. One of the cool things it does is as a USB out, where it serves as an audio interface. So we got everyone in the band, besides the drummer, has some way to get a DI signal out of their guitar. I have both a Strymon Iridium. I have a couple amps that have DI outs, with one with a cab sim, the Friedman Runt that has a cab sim,
and a lot of amps have DI outs now.
Yes,
that's a very common thing.
And look for the cab sims too.
Yep.
Or whether it's analog or digital, doesn't matter in this context. But so anywho, we ran out of my guitar. I built a pedal board for my buddy that had a digital, kind of like a Strymon or a Helix thing, but just in one small $80 Chinese pedal, that a CAD simulator and an amp simulator. So we were in practice, we were running into our real big, 412s. And the bass player also has a DI out, but we were all going DI into this thing, and we were all playing with in-ears because we're old as fuck now, and they have the tech. So the cool thing is we're getting these really great mixes, and the drummer we had mic'd a kick, snare, and a rack and floor top. So we had a decent amount of mics, and I was able, because this is a mobile, this laptop, I was able to plug that USB cable into my laptop, pull up. For me, it was Logic, but it could have been GarageBand because they're basically the same fucking thing. We'll get into that later. I'm going to keep referencing it. The tracks we set up, they already had the thing, so I just had to name the tracks, and it was set up to do like 20, so we even had some empty tracks. And then I just hit go, and I was able to record the entire, and obviously vocals went in, record the entire practice individually, not just grabbing like a cell phone grab of the whole mix of the room bouncing. Every single person besides the drummer, who was mic'd, so that kind of counts, was going onto their own line. So after practice was done, I grabbed the best bits. Took me about 10 seconds to add some compressors and a little bit of EQ and kick them out, and we had little 3-minute songs that sounded not fucking terrible, that we went to his shop to do a live band practice, and that's what we did. But because of the mobility of that laptop and its power and the power of basically the audio interface there, we were able to capture basically a live recording of the band with no effort. Like, literally plug and play. Plug, hit the red button, set up tracks, go, and then I saved it, so the next time I'm going to have to set up tracks. I just hit record, and it's there. That's my reason too, is being able to catch a live band performance and finding a way to, while you're practicing, you don't have to stop and be like, oh, let's hit their phone and record and whatever, because we just hit magic. You're just recording anyways. So if you hit magic, you get on your phone, you could set a marker, or you could hit stop on the thing and then record real fast, just so there's a chop where you hit magic, and you can go back and you send that to your boys, like, dudes, we did something cool here in this jam. Let's take that and build it into the song and make sure it makes it, because this had like a vibe that's really cool. That was life-changing for us, because we've always just taken some phones and hit a button, got phone grabs. But
which sounds like a garbled mess compared to that.
Yeah, and we even have like phone add-on extensions in the past where like we were using a compressor mic or like the Zoom H2 to grab the room, and even on the best day, it doesn't sound like that. And then to be able to take it in and with no effort, it's already there, just chopped, EQ'd, compressed, add a little bit of reverb on some of the dry vocals, and it's like, holy shit, like, if we played better, this could just be out to the public. Now, it was, not a great practice in the technical sense, but the vibe was there. It's like, cool. I now have this thing that before it would be something that was a little hard to listen to and maybe wouldn't have captured the vibe in that way. So yeah, that's reason 2. Now, I know that's like a pretty technical reason. You might not have that type of mixer board set up, but you can build out toward that.
Yeah, because I was going to say,
all of these things we're mentioning, these are more valuable than your $1,000 guitar if you're in a band trying to make records to try to be good. Your $1,000 guitar looks cool and makes you happy. This shit makes your band fucking be productive and have fucking shit for your fans to hear. And that difference is giant. You know?
Huge. And I was gonna say, you don't like the in-ear system that Dustin was talking about. I mean, it's like a $2-3 grand piece.
Yeah. I mean, that's expensive.
You don't have to have that. You could have an 8-track mixer that you bought for $200 or $300 that has a USB.
Those Behringer Onyx mixers would do that exactly for the band. As long as you just have a way to kick your guitar to an amp and to a mixer, you've got what you need.
You can run DI out of your amp that has a DI out and run that straight into the mixer.
I didn't use my Strymon that way.
Yeah, you could use 3 or 4 of the channels to mic up the drum. You could give one. I'm sure your bass player probably has a DI out on his bass amp. Run that in. Vocals, you give the vocalist a mic, and you've got a very similar kind of setup for a much less amount of money.
Way less cost, because with that little Behringer, you can kick it out to in-ears if you want to. You can buy a little headphone amp that's got 4 outs and kick it out to everybody. This is just over the top. Like this is when you're an adult and you have money to spend, and you get the nice things because you've worked for it for fucking 20 years. There's not a person in that jam that makes that them and their spouse don't combine to make under like 180, you know, or something like you know what I mean? Like, not that we're balling out of control, but and a couple of guys are way more. I'm on the lower end of that, but dude, you don't have to go that hard. But also, it's that thing of like, if you don't buy a fucking new guitar every week, and I flip over and see that. Every now and then, instead of buying that Gibson Les Paul, if you invest in something that's going to make music, like really make music, not just another guitar that you think is fucking cool. It's great to be inspired by your instrument, and I won't ever say that that's a bad thing. But if you don't have these things where you can make music easily and conducively, that's kind of my point with this. It's like, this helps you become a musician and not just a dude with a fucking sick-ass guitar collection. Because it's cool to have a sick-ass guitar collection if you're just a collector. But if you're a player and you have shit that you want people to hear, buy the shit that lets people hear you. And like that's a hard thing to do when it's always about buying the fucking coolest Soldano amp that just dropped, or the new Murphy Age Gibson, or fuck, the new $300 Ibanez AZs look fucking sick. Those $300 AZs look like they're killer, and they're tempting. So that's right at that level. If you're working, you know, a retail or a food job or whatever, you're like, yeah, I can afford that. That's way better than my guitar. And you're not wrong. I'm just saying, if you don't have this shit, hold off, and then when you have this shit, you're gonna be happy, and you're gonna get good sounds out of the guitar you currently have that's making you love music. Wait a little bit longer to jizz on that kick-ass guitar, and then when you do and you plug it in all this shit, you'll be like, shit, like, this is cool. But like, if you just have the new guitar and you're still like, oh well, fuck, I still can't record myself and whatever, you're always gonna be looking for that next thing to get you down the step. Just start doing the things where you can make music for people and for yourself early, and then you'll become a better player. You'll get more recognition as a player, and you'll get more opportunities playing because of all of that. Why is the singer in your band
Right.
Besides his talent,
because
they don't know the story.
Because we had we had the tracks. We had the tracks. We already had the music. We had it all recorded. He was out in North Carolina, 10 hours away.
And how'd you find him?
Found him on YouTube.
There we go. That's what I was
There you go. Found him on.
Was a dude who didn't have an outlet for his great talent.
Yeah.
But he did videos of himself singing covers of songs that were from bands that were the same bands that inspired you, and you found him.
Yep.
Out in fucking North Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone else in the band was in Indiana. That would have happened without him putting himself out there and being like, yo, I've got talent and I'm willing to like do the hard yards to.
That's a great point.
Come out, and then he's in a sick ass band. You guys fucking toured. You're about to put out a new record. You know, like, that's sick. That wouldn't have happened if he wouldn't have taken the hard yards and put himself out there. So like, that's one of the things I'm saying, especially in this day and age where it's so easy to collaborate with other musicians online now. Like, put yourself out there. Even if you don't feel like you're good enough, or it's not your magnum opus, doesn't fucking matter. Put that shit out there. You'll get better. And people always forget about the old shit. Trust me. People don't remember the songs you wrote when you were 15. Like, they just don't. But if you got to make them so people, like, listen to you play at all. You know, if you never make shit for people to hear you, they just don't hear you. It's really common sense. Yeah.
It is. But, you know, you don't get a lot of that in the guitar world. You know, like, you'll have a teacher, you have a rare teacher every now and then, maybe give you some really good pointers. But a lot of times it's just like, you start out, you're like, there are stepping stones. And a lot of times it's in a young player's mind, the stepping stones are the next gear.
Yes.
But you're not thinking about the really crucial pieces of gear that actually allow you to create, and that's what Dust is so beautifully laid out here.
If your shit works, your gear's good enough. If it doesn't work, take it to a tech and just make the thing you have work. And if the tech tells you this shit's so bad you're not gonna be able to like play on it, okay, cool.
Right.
Then like go get.
Then get another guitar.
Like, I mean, if when we were working in a guitar store and you took us, we were like, hey, I want to be in a band and I want to record, and I just feel like it doesn't sound right or whatever. And we look at it, and the neck looks like a bow and arrow because it's so fucking stripped out. And we're like, actually, dude, like this will never be in tune or whatever. Okay, different situation.
You literally can't play this.
Like this is literally a shit fiddle. Like. Then yeah, go buy a better guitar.
Yeah,
fine, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can go buy a great $300 guitar or $250 guitar.
Not now. Good lord.
Ibanez
the stuff
AZs,
you get for
a couple $100. Those Ibanez AZs are $300. You don't think so? You don't think those would be good enough?
No, I think absolutely. No, I was kind of that was a sigh because like I was actually just at our old store that we used to work at today, and man, I mean. You know, I was telling one of the guys there that, you know, the $600 Mexican Strat that was on the wall, the standard Strat, used to be $300 when I started.
Oh, dude, my jazz bass I bought was $300 when I bought it used. I think it was $299
there you go.
Technically, but like.
What I realized is, I mean, it's like I said that, and he's like, man, that's crazy. But I was like, man, you know, look at this Indonesian guitar right here. I think it was like a used Schecter or something. It was amazing. Like it was like a Tele with Filtertrons. It was like $600, but like, you know, like it was ridiculous. So like the stuff you can get now from Indonesia and from China, like Chinese stuff wasn't good when we were coming up. Chinese stuff is great now.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I mean, the Epiphones for $300 and $400 are crazy. You know, I mean, like the Ibanez's for $300, they're crazy. Yeah. So I mean, you know, also, there's just
we have a calculate when we're talking about $200 guitars in 2008. Inflation has happened, and I'm not going to get on the fucking soapbox, but like,
yeah,
$200 isn't what it used to be, you know.
Right.
In general, yeah. So like, in our brains, you should be able to go buy a nice beginner guitar for $2 to $3. The fact that that's crept up, I don't think it's great, but I think that $300 is probably more accessible than the $150. You know, because when we were in the shop, you could actually take $150 and go buy a new Chinese guitar that wouldn't have been great, but would have like been serviceable.
Yeah.
If you had $250, you could go buy a brand new, like multiple steps up Squire that you could like straight tour with. And I had buddies that did. They would literally just sand the word Squire off the headstock and put on a Fender Water Slide decal. And they would tour with them because they would tour so hard on their shit that they'd get bunked. But they were like, well, instead of taking my nice shit out, I'll take that to the studio. I'll just fucking wreck this Squire, put some Seymour Duncans in it that I just swap out of the guitar. And when the guitar gets so beat to shit, I'll sell it for $100. Put that to a new $250, and they just kept it rolling. And dude, they always sounded killer, and they played for thousands of people at a time with that shit. You know,
that's like the LTDs that I toured with. They were like, you know, $400 or $500 guitars, but like I put Seymour Duncans in them. They sounded amazing. I knew how to work on them. Like, you know, I mean, like, So you don't have to spend a ton.
You don't.
But
So point number 3, and this is starting to get to the beat the dead horse part about being a creator and a thing. But I just recently, so I have theoretically 2 bands that are about to bubble out, which is crazy because this has been one of the most musically productive band lives I've had in a while. So hopefully they'll all make it to the finish line. We all know how that goes. But also, I have some solo stuff that's just me and my wife on one song that I wanted to put out. That's been just me in the basement. There are a couple songs, maybe, I don't know how many, but 2 that are pretty close to ready to go. And I feel like there's 3, maybe even 4 that, with going through some more hard yards, could be a thing. But I've kind of been waffling on them for a long while now, and I promised myself I would get something out. So I was like, well, how am I going to release them? I'm definitely going to do like the DistroKid to Spotify and iTunes and all that bullshit, but I want to do something that was a little bit more also. And I was like, I'm going to make a lyric video. I'm not going to pay someone to make it. I'm going to make my own lyric video.
Oh, so, nice.
I sent you a snippet of this, Josh, by the way, on the cell phone.
Oh, hell yeah.
So this also comes with iMovie for free.
Ah,
so
yes.
I sourced, and I'm brand new at this. This is a whole new venture to me. But I have,
and I haven't watched that yet.
Oh,
so
okay.
I looking forward to it. But yeah,
I have a rough draft of my lyric video that I'm pretty proud of. It's nothing too intense. It actually has a lot of thematic elements of like what you're seeing now, only instead of a live stream format. It's but learning how to do a lyric video and match the lyrics up with the timings and shit. I'm doing it off iMovie on this fucking Mac I bought because I was sitting there feeling like shit this past weekend. And when I feel like shit for some reason, I always get a little down in the dumps, and because I think about all the shit I want to be doing. Ironically, when I feel great, half the time I don't do them anyways. I just sit around, smoke hookah, and watch gear reviews on YouTube. But when I feel like shit, I think about all the creative juices that I should be spilling that I feel like I can't because I feel bad. So I sat on my fucking couch, ironically watching gear reviews still, but with this in my lap, and I started making my fucking lyric video, my music video for my first single, I guess I could call it. And I'm kind of proud of how it looks. Like, it's not sick, it's not the coolest thing ever. It's very simple, but it's gonna get the job done, and it's gonna be entertaining enough so the visuals aren't distracting and while you're looking at the music, I think. And I'm going to keep shining it, and hopefully I'll get it out pretty soon. But it's, like, basically done. It's done to the point where I want to go back on the track and master the track and add a couple more parts on the actual music. And then I think I'll be pretty ready to go there. I've done the whole thing, and it took me a long time, so I don't know how to do that fucking shit. So I probably spent, like, 5 or 6 hours fucking learning how to do it, learning iMovie for the very first time on the computer. And then not Final Cut Pro or anything like that. Just using the free shit, just like with GarageBand. Just learn and do on the free shit. But that's another thing. You buy that fucking MacBook, now you have a way to put out sick fucking videos and content around your music and do shit that's more than just a cell phone video. Do a lyric video. You can make a music video. Like, while doing that, I was like, holy shit, the next song, I might actually try to do, like, an actual fucking music video. Like, do clips of me in places doing the thing, look at all emo and shit, and have one of my boys follow me around with the camera for a little bit and just try to look cool. To be laughable, but I'll do it. I'm gonna splice that into some shit, and dude, like, when I realized how easy it is, like, I did the thing, like, I'm doing the thing now at 34, having the realization about how easy it could have been in the past if I would have just put the hard yards in and learned how to do that shit with my own music. I'm trying, that realization I just had with video and making video content, is what I'm trying to prevent you guys from saying when you're 35, if you're younger now and listening to this, with your actual music. So I've been making music since I was like 18, or somewhere around there. So that's not strange to me, but I basically have the same epiphany that I should have had a long time ago with the video. Because if I would have put out lyric videos that looked this cool or tried this hard on back when YouTube just started, my bands might have had more views. And it would have been cool.
Right.
Instead, we paid thousands and thousands of dollars for dudes to follow us around with cameras and shoot music videos and stuff, because none of us put in the hard yards how to do it. We were like, God, we can record, that's enough, fuck it, we'll just pay somebody. Well, then you get to a point where, what if you're doing it just yourself, and you can go pay, but what if you're like, man, I don't know, but putting out just a sick visual lyric video, I don't feel like I've got to be Dustin the lead singer, because I don't think I'm ready for that in my personal music journey yet. As far as like frontmanning and being charismatic by myself in front of a camera and in front of a cornfield, dude, I don't know, man. I don't think I'm there yet. I maybe I'll get there one day if I keep doing this stuff and keep building it and whatever. But I can make a lyric video now. That's one step that I should have known a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm proud that I can do it now. And I think that's fucking badass. So, I think that's why I've been pimping doing like a more modern computer or Mac, because video, when I said the high-end video editing side, it's not like I'm doing 3D drop-ins and shit like that. Just making a fucking simple lyric video, it can handle that like a motherfucker. It was just kicking through.
Macs are made for that. Yeah. They're more geared towards it anyway.
Yeah. It's more geared. They've never forgot about people who want to create things in a digital space. And that sounds like I should be wearing the fucking Steve Jobs turtleneck saying that. Look, we're made for people. Macs are made for people that want to create the digital space. But, like...
OnlyFans.
I do. It's coming. Yeah, so that's...
Literally. Yes.
So dude, that's kind of my spiel.
It's a good spiel.
It's
a solid spiel.
Do you have a spiel?
I mean, a retort? Please allow me to retort. No, I mean, getting into the whole Mac ecosystem is, it was a game changer, and once I found out how powerful that was, I've stuck with it, and I wish I would have started doing it earlier, when we started.
Entry seems high, at least, especially when we were young.
It's much higher. Yeah, it was much higher then than it is now.
Yep.
Because Macs were not. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Macs were not bad.
Macs, they just weren't the thing. They weren't as prolific. We started getting into them when they really started becoming an everyday thing. Before that, they just weren't as widespread. But now, I mean, like, there's just they're very accessible. There's a large used market, and they just come loaded with like everything. So.
Shit that
I totally agree.
Anytime you do it on a PC, the programs, even the free programs you're going to download, are harder to work with. I've worked a little bit in DaVinci Resolve, a very powerful, very capable video editing software that's free on Windows. It is way more cumbersome and dick punching. It's like what Pro Tools is to Logic and GarageBand. It's that to the video shit. And that's what I found on the PC. It's not about the overall power. I know if I want to do more in video editing, if I get there in my journey, I can always buy Final Cut Pro, and I guarantee all the buttons are going to be in the same place as I do, because that's what GarageBand and Logic are. Logic Pro and GarageBand, same buttons in the same place. They've been training you how to pay $200 to buy Logic the entire time you've been using GarageBand. So when you get to the point where I need to step up for this reason, and you do, there's no learning curve. And that's what I love about the Mac products. It's not like, oh shit, now I have to learn Logic. This gave me 3 hours to do my first session. No, I bought Logic, I installed it, and I was like, oh my god, this is GarageBand.
Yep.
Only better and more full featured. And this like wave of like relaxation came over. It's like, oh shit, I don't have to. I've already learned. I'm already there. I can just use these more powerful tools that I'm ready for now. But in a Windows-based thing, the learning curve is higher. Now, once you get to where you're like a pro maker with these things, they probably are tit for tat as good as what you have on a Mac. But if you're climbing that hill from the bottom, I think having that hill be less steep is actually super important.
The Mac software, the key thing there is it's very powerful, but it's also extremely intuitive. So that's the part of it that makes it so user friendly. It's ultimately like several magnitudes easier to navigate and use out of the gate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then when you go to the big boy programs, they're just as capable.
They're that you just get more.
You
already know where all the basic features are. It's just expanded. Everything's expanded.
And
by the time you upgrade, yeah,
you're a pro already.
Like, exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say you're ready. Like, you wouldn't be switching to the big boy software if there wasn't a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hit those reasons, you've hit a ceiling. And so at that point, you know what the ceilings are because you've used the software. So you're ready for that next step, and you'll it's just a natural progression.
I mean, so my ceiling with GarageBand was playing with Josh. I used it indefinitely until Josh and I had a project, and we got to the point where we were doing time signature changes, and in Logic that is just intensely easier than GarageBand.
Exactly. Yeah.
We were doing.
I thought you were going a different way with that, but you hit it. Yeah.
We were writing in GarageBand mostly, and then we hit a point where we wanted to do these things that software just doesn't excel at. You can do them in there. It's just you're at that point in time you're doing workarounds where Logic has it just built in where you can just do it like you want to do it.
They literally have a super easy menu for tempo change or tempo and time signature changes, just that,
there.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah.
So I think, I mean, I can't think of anything else that I want to add or feel like I should add on the topic. We talked about interfaces. We talked about all the reasons. Yeah. So I think we're there. What do you think?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think we're good. And just one more thing on the interfaces. We showed the Scarlett interface. There are other interfaces, but I'll say this: for the money, you're not going to spend much less for a similar interface, and the Scarletts are fantastic. We both have Scarlett interfaces. Dustin has several. I have one main one that I use. I've owned 3 or 4 at this point. They're great for the money, so I would definitely suggest the Focusrite.
And these
products.
3rd gen ones, they're even better than what they used to be. They look exactly the same, but the 3rd gen ones, they added headroom to the mic keys in it, which if you were going to
that's a big deal.
Yeah, if you're going to critique the Scarlett series, the older Scarlett series that look exactly like, you would say, man, sometimes it's pretty easy to clip the input, which is when it turns red and the signal gets all blown out.
Distorted.
They made that even better in this, where like you're not going to do that on this.
Right.
The headroom and the gain has been upped in these to a substantial
That's awesome.
amount, even at $120, like your gain knob's not going to go past half. Which back in the day, on like the 1st gen one of these, you would be writing it at like 75%. You'd be writing it pretty high. I feel, in my experience, you would.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's awesome.
Cool.
I think that's a great thing to finish on.
Yeah.
I think there's only one thing left, Josh.
I believe you're correct, Dustin.
Cool. Fuck you guys.
Fuck off.
Hold. I did it with the wrong hand, so I've got to drop it to get the mouse.